Hi, and welcome to Our Portion and Cup. I'm Valerie Parham, and I'd love for you to join me as we look at each week's Torah portions. I love finding Yeshua pictures. He's the point of Torah, and He is our salvation. We might look at other salvation truths and aspects and insights of our journey coming home, along with practical applications for the everyday walking out of Yah's truth. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Today we have a double portion called Matot, which means tribes. You can read it from Numbers 30, verse 1 or verse 2, depending on your version, to 32:42. And the second portion is Masei, which means journeys of, and you can read it from Numbers 33, verse 1 through 36:13. The Haftorah for the first one is Jeremiah 1 through chapter 2, verse 3. The Haftorah for the second one, Jeremiah 2:4 through 28, and chapter 3, verse 4. When there is a double portion, the Haftorah for the second one is the one that is generally read publicly. A suggested New Covenant reading for the first one is John 1 through 51, and for the second one, John 2, verse 1 through chapter 3, verse 36. So, as we look into the portion today, we see that Moses gets very upset with the descendants of Reuben and Gad. Let's look at the narrative to see if we can figure out the why. We're reading from Numbers 32. I'm going to read verses 1 through 15, and from the New American Standard Version. Now the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad had an exceedingly large number of livestock. So when they saw the land of Jazer and the land of Gilead, that it was indeed a place suitable for livestock, the sons of Gad and the sons of Reuben came and spoke to Moses and to Eleazar the priest and to the leaders of the congregation, saying, Haftarah, Dixon, Jazer, Nimrod, Hiborn, Leler, Sem, Nebo, and Bean, the land which Yahweh conquered before the congregation of Israel, is a land for livestock, and your servants have livestock. They said, If we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants as a possession. Do not take us across the Jordan. But Moses said to the sons of Gad and to the sons of Reuben, Shall your brothers go to war while you yourselves sit here? Now why are you discouraging the sons of Israel from crossing over into the land which Yahweh has given them? This is what your fathers did when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to see the land. For when they went up to the valley of Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the sons of Israel so that they did not go into the land which Yahweh had given them. So Yahweh's anger burned in that day, and he swore, saying, None of the men who came up from Egypt, from 20 years old and upward, shall see the land which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, for they did not follow me fully, except Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua the son of Nun, for they have followed Yahweh fully. So Yahweh's anger burned against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until the entire generation of those who had done evil in the sight of Yahweh was destroyed. Now behold, you have risen up in your father's place a brood of sinful men, to add still more to the burning anger of Yahweh against Israel. For if you turn away from following him, he will once more abandon them in the wilderness, and you will destroy all these people. So what were Moses' accusations here? Well, number 1, you are sitting while your brothers go to war. That was verse 6. Number 2, you are discouraging the sons of Israel from crossing into the land Yah has given them. That was verse 7. And then he details the consequences of this action for the next 6 or so verses. And then number 3, you are a brood of sinful men. That was in verse 14. Moses ultimately let the people stay on the other side of the Jordan, but we can see that this was not the original plan and that there were consequences for these tribes. Moses listened to their arguments when they tried to convince him that this was a good idea. Because of their decision and request to stay on the other side of the Jordan, they had to leave their families to go and help the other tribes in battle. This meant that there was at least one generation here that was essentially fatherless for much of the time. Most sources say that the conquest took 7 years and the settlement took 7 years. How did that manifest negatively for these tribes in the long term? Well, these were the first tribes to be taken into captivity for lawlessness. 1 Chronicles 5 gives their genealogy and tells us about the why they were taken first. It appears that they kept expanding, which they should have done, but their expansion didn't keep them close to the Father and his ways. They became idolatrous. Let's read 1 Chronicles 5:25 and 26 from the New American Standard Version. But they acted treacherously against the God of their fathers and played the harlot after the gods of the peoples of the land, whom Elohim had destroyed before them. So the Elohim of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, even the spirit of Tilgath-Pilneser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away into exile, namely the Reubenites, the Gats, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and brought them to Hala, Harbor, Hara, and to the river of Gozan to this day. They realized at their going home time that at some point they could be cut off from the other tribes, and so they decided to make a sacrificial altar. Of course, an altar for sacrificing is not allowed except with the tabernacle, temple, priests, etc. The fact that everyone else was literally up in arms about it proves that they weren't seen as having pure motives from the outset. If their answer was not contrived after their accusation in this matter, they said they didn't intend to use it, but wanted it as a witness. In fact, they said they shouldn't be saved that day if they had bad motives with it. But the fact that the altar was even there is dangerous for future generations who might be tempted to use it. Do you know this story? We will pick up where these tribes were actually commended for keeping their promise to help the other people conquer the land and were being sent home with the admonition to follow Yah. Let's look at Joshua 22. Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh and said to them, "You have kept all that Moses the servant of Yahweh commanded you, and have listened to my voice in all that I commanded you. You have not forsaken your brothers these many days to this day, but have kept the charge of the commandment of Yahweh your Elohim. And now Yahweh your Elohim has given rest to your brothers as he spoke to them. Therefore turn now and go to your tents, to the land of your possession, which Moses the servant of Yahweh gave you beyond the Jordan. Only be very careful to observe the commandment and the law which Moses the servant of Yahweh commanded you, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and walk in all his ways, and keep his commandments, and hold fast to him, and serve him with all your heart and with all your soul." So Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their tents. Now to the one half tribe of Manasseh Moses had given a possession in Bashan, but to the other half Joshua gave a possession among their brothers westward beyond the Jordan. So when Joshua sent them away to their tents, he blessed them and said to them, "Return to your tents with great riches and with very much livestock, with silver, gold, bronze, iron, and with very many clothes. Divide the spoil of your enemies with your brothers." The sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh returned home and departed from the sons of Israel at Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan, to go to the land of Gilead, to the land of their possession which they had possessed, according to the command of Yahweh through Moses. When they came to the region of the Jordan, which is in the land of Canaan, the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh built an altar there by the Jordan, a large altar in appearance. And the sons of Israel heard it said, "Behold, the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built an altar at the frontier of the land of Canaan in the region of the Jordan, on the side belonging to the sons of Israel." When the sons of Israel heard of it, the whole congregation of the sons of Israel gathered themselves at Shiloh to go up against them in war. Then the sons of Israel sent to the sons of Reuben and to the sons of Gad and to the half-tribe of Manasseh into the land of Gilead, Phinehas, or Pinchas from last week, the son of Eleazar the priest, and with him 10 chiefs, one chief for each father's household from each of the tribes of Israel, and each one of them was the head of his father's household among the thousands of Israel. They came to the sons of Reuben and to the sons of Gad and to the half-tribe of Manasseh to the land of Gilead, and they spoke with them, saying, "Thus says the whole congregation of Yahweh, what is this unfaithful act which you have committed against the Elohim of Israel, turning away from following Yahweh this day by building yourselves an altar to rebel against Yahweh this day? Is not the iniquity of Peor enough for us, from which we have not cleansed ourselves to this day, although a plague came on the congregation of Yahweh, that you must turn away this day from following Yahweh? If you rebel against Yahweh today, he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel tomorrow. If, however, the land of your possession is unclean, then cross into the land of the possession of Yahweh, where Yahweh's tabernacle stands, and take possession among us. Only do not rebel against Yahweh or rebel against us by building an altar for yourselves besides the altar of Yahweh our Elohim. Did not Achan, the son of Zerah, act unfaithfully in the things under the ban, and wrath fall on all the congregation of Israel? And that man did not perish alone in his iniquity. Then the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered and spoke to the heads of the families of Israel. The mighty one, Elohim, Yahweh, the mighty one, Elohim, Yahweh, he knows, and may Israel itself know. If it was in rebellion, or if in an unfaithful act against Yahweh, do not save us this day. If we have built us an altar to turn away from following Yahweh, or if to offer a burnt offering or grain offering on it, or if to offer sacrifices of peace offerings on it, may Yahweh himself require it. But truly we have done this out of concern, for a reason, saying, in time to come your sons may say to our sons, what have you to do with Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel? For Yahweh has made the Jordan a border between us and you. You sons of Reuben and sons of Gad, you have no portion in Yahweh. So your sons may make our sons stop fearing Yahweh. Therefore we said, let us build an altar, not for burnt offering or for sacrifice. Rather it shall be a witness between us and you, and between our generations after us, that we are to perform the service of Yahweh before him with our burnt offerings and with our sacrifices and with our peace offerings, so that your sons will not say to our sons in time to come, you have no portion in Yahweh. Therefore we said, it shall also come about, if they say this to us or to our generations in time to come, then we shall say, see the copy of the altar of Yahweh which our fathers made, not for burnt offering or for sacrifice, rather it is a witness between us and you. Far be it from us that we should rebel against Yahweh and turn away from following Yahweh this day by building an altar for burnt offering, for grain offering, or for sacrifice besides the altar of Yahweh our Elohim, which is before his tabernacle. So when Phinehas the priest and the leaders of the congregation, even the heads of the families of Israel who were with him, heard the words which the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and the sons of Manasseh spoke, it pleased them. And Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest said to the sons of Reuben and to the sons of Gad and to the sons of Manasseh, today we know that Yahweh is in our midst, because you have not committed this unfaithful act against Yahweh. Now you have delivered the sons of Israel from the hand of Yahweh. Then Phinehas the son of Eleazar the priest and the leaders returned from the sons of Reuben and from the sons of Gad, from the land of Gilead to the land of Canaan, to the sons of Israel, and brought back word to them. The word pleased the sons of Israel, and the sons of Israel blessed Elohim, and they did not speak of going up against them in war to destroy the land in which the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad were living. The sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad called the altar witness, for they said, it is a witness between us that Yahweh is Elohim. Does it seem to you that these tribes were having to justify themselves a lot? So what were the traps they tried to convince Moses they wouldn't fall into when they wanted to stay on the other side of the Jordan? What was the sin or error they seemed to be falling for? Historically, the mass of commentators has come up with 5 sins that seem to be attached to these people. A rabbi named Yehuda Nakshoni summed them up. So here's number 1. They have an exaggerated subjugation to materialism. Number 2. They made an attempt to free themselves of their communal obligations. Number 3. They took a secular approach to Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. Number 4. They were in isolation from the congregation of Israel. And number 5. They were despising the desirable land. And then these categories can be reduced to 3 broader groups. 1, love of material possessions. 2, rejection of the chosen land. And 3, lack of, when they say Jewish, we understand Israel, lack of unity. I would like to share a midrash with you that was printed in my Eretz Israel in the Parashah book by Moshe Lichtman. This midrash is from Bamidbar Rabbah. It's a very old compilation of studies on the book of Numbers, like some as old as the 4th century. These studies were in exegesis form, meaning explaining or interpreting the text, and or homiletic form, meaning like for preaching. This excerpt makes some great points, so here it is. 3 gifts were created in the world. If a man is privileged to possess one of them, he has attained the desire of the whole world. If he is privileged to possess wisdom, he has attained everything. If he is privileged to possess strength, he has attained everything. If he is privileged to possess wealth, he has attained everything. When is this true? When they are the gifts of heaven and come by virtue of the Torah. But human strength and wealth is worthless. 2 rich men arose in the world, Korach from Israel and Haman from the Gentiles, and both of them were totally destroyed. Why? Because their gifts were not from the Holy One, blessed is he, rather they grabbed it for themselves. You find the same phenomenon by the children of Gad and the children of Reuben. They were wealthy and possessed an abundance of livestock, but they loved their money and settled outside the land of Israel. Therefore, they were exiled first, before all the other tribes. What caused this? The fact that they separated themselves from their brethren because of their possessions. And you can read that in Bamidbar Rabbah 22:7. We can see that this commentary compares these people to Korach and Haman. Pretty strong, huh? We can also see that the commentators considered this territory they wished to settle in as outside the land of Israel. While it was inside the boundaries given to Abraham, it wasn't set up as an inheritance area for the 12 tribes in the beginning. In fact, there are 3 levels of sanctity that have been and are seen in the land. The first level of holiness is the site of the sanctuary. It is the most holy place. Next is the Galilee, and finally, the Transjordan. Where are you most likely to retain a constant reminder to keep a holy life? Near the holy sanctuary, right? Where are you most likely to get picked off by enemies? When you are far away from the holy goings-on of Yah's people, out of the congregation area, right? We can see this setup in the way the Israelites camped around the tabernacle in the desert. And it's obvious from that setup view that someone at the back of Ephraim's camp most likely wasn't maintaining or needing to maintain the holiness in their daily walk that the priests were. The Israelites weren't commanded to get rid of the gods on the east side of the Jordan as they were traveling, while they were commanded thus about the gods on the west side. These were in Canaan. As we just mentioned, the sanctity of the land on the west side was reckoned first. Let's consider some verses that occur in the second part of our portion reading today. I'm going to be reading from Numbers 33, 50 through 55, New American Standard Version. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan opposite Jericho, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, When you cross over the Jordan and into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, and destroy all their figured stones, and destroy all their molten images, and demolish all their high places. And you shall take possession of the land and live in it, for I have given the land to you to possess it. You shall inherit the land by lot, according to your families. To the larger you shall give more inheritance, and to the smaller you shall give less inheritance. Wherever the lot falls to anyone, that shall be his. You shall inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall come about that those whom you let remain of them will become as pricks in your eyes and as thorns in your sides, and they will trouble you in the land in which you live. And as I plan to do to them, so I will do to you. Maybe some forget the land east of the Jordan was already occupied by other descendants of Yah's favored people. And those people weren't going to be kicked out of their land at this time. They were not Canaanites. Ammon and Moab were descendants of Lot, Abraham's nephew. Edom was inhabited by Esau's descendants. Esau was a brother to Jacob and a son to Isaac and grandson to Abraham. Even though some of them got some curses of sorts for not being nice to Israel when they tried to travel through their territory, they were there and could stay at Yah's pleasure. There's another possibility or two that's been cast about as to the reasoning in these people's minds about asking to stay on the other side of the Jordan. These aren't the most obvious, however, nor the accusations Moses made of them. One accusation, however, that hasn't been made here is something we've been discussing in our portion, so the train of thought may have some validity in this particular point I want to mention. It is in the realm of possibility that Reuben was trying to assert his leadership again here. Remember, he got passed over for the firstborn inheritance and leadership that would have entailed. He wanted to be proactive in where his family and belongings settle, and then he was willing to lead the others in battle to subdue and settle the land on the other side of the Jordan. It has been a surprise to some to learn that even when the tribes return and get new portions in the coming kingdom, The inheritance portions are still on the left-hand side of the Jordan. The area that extends further east is above the Jordan, beginning at the Sea of Galilee, and it's extending into what is now Syria and Lebanon, as seen in these maps. If you want to see what some of us are looking at, you can email me at valerieparham@ymail.com. That's VALERIEPARHAM @ymail.com. And I'll be happy to put you on the email list for the written teaching. I've put 2 maps into the teaching this week, a map of Canaan showing the 12 tribe portions as they are being set up now, and then for Ezekiel chapter 48, the 12 tribe portions as they will be at that time. And you can see in the maps that the land in Ezekiel is on the west side of the Jordan. Another interesting fact is that Manasseh got some land on the east side of the Galilee, but they were involved in our portion in trying to get territory in the area that Reuben and Gad wanted. When we were still living in the United States and I had my other jobs, I was able to listen to the radio while I was driving around doing sales and sales management. In my favorite morning show lineup at the time, I think in the early to mid-90s, that included shows like Focus on the Family, I also got to listen to and enjoyed the teachings by Chuck Swindoll. He had a great teaching during that time on our very topic today that made a lasting impression on me. His teaching was his take or understanding of what the people were missing who wanted to settle on the wrong side of the Jordan. What they were missing was the realization that Yah, he didn't say Yah, but God, is wanting to give you very good things. Sometimes we won't let him do that for us because we see what we think is good stuff all along the way in the journey and want to settle before the journey is complete. We don't give the Father the opportunity to take us to the really good destination because we want instant gratification and such. These people saw a good pasture land for their flocks, but they hadn't seen the other side of the Jordan yet. And even if the pasture was the same, there were spiritual benefits from being on the side with all the other congregation, weren't there? In fact, as we mentioned the incident earlier, the time when they realized they might be rather like disinherited by the rest of the tribes. So at that time, they made that altar to witness and prove the connection. How many people today find the diaspora, we mean the dispersion of the people of Yah to other lands, a good place to be? I can remember how surprised I was to learn that 90% of Judah didn't return to the promised land at the end of the Babylonian exile. Yah's abundant care and blessings given to us at all times can become blinders when he asks us to complete a spiritual journey with him. It is something you might consider if you haven't. What Yeshua asked of the people who wanted more. You hear that phrase often from different church groups. They say they want all Jesus has to give, but generally they mean something that would be in the spiritual instant gratification category, like some supernatural gifting exhibition right then, at least in my experience. I'm not trying to judge anyone specifically here. I just want to use this idea to make a point. When Yeshua was approached by people who wanted more, what did he say? If you want all, you get up and follow him. This passage I'm going to share is quite interesting for our study today in that it records Yeshua as being in the territory beyond the Jordan at the beginning of the chapter. So he's speaking with the people who are living in those areas we've been discussing today. This passage is from Mark 10. I'm going to be reading from Mark 10, verses 17 through 22 from the New American Standard Version. As he was setting out on a journey, a man ran up to him and knelt before him and asked, "Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" And Yeshua said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except Elohim alone. You know the commandments. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness, do not defraud, honor your father and mother." And he said to him, "Teacher, I've kept all these things from my youth up." Looking at him, Yeshua felt a love for him and said, "One thing you lack. Go and sell all you possess and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come, follow me." But at these words he was saddened, and he went away grieving, for he was one who owned much property. More after the break.
He restores my soul. He restores my soul. He restores my soul.
Gold at any price is beyond what most of us can afford, but we need to plan for our future in small steps. Accurate Precious Metals Refineries in Salem is doing something to help us, something I've never seen before. 0.5 gram, 1 gram, and 2.5 gram mini bars are available now. Accurate Precious Metals Refineries is making it easier for all of us to own a little more security and become a little less dependent on government. Best of all, you don't have to mail away for it, and you don't have to trust someone else's vault. You can hold it in your hand, you can take it home with you. You can start owning gold today for as little as $40, depending on up-to-the-minute market prices. Visit Accurate Precious Metals today in Salem, 1855 Hawthorne Avenue Northeast, or visit their website, accuratepmr.com. If you have questions about how Accurate Precious Metals Refineries can help you, call them at 503-400-5608.
Welcome back to Our Portion and Cup. This is Valerie Parham. In the first half today, we were talking about the tribes of Reuben and Gad and how they were settling for probably something that was at least certainly second best because they had lots of possessions. Moses accused them not only of being concerned about their possessions, but discouraging others and despising the land. Like, they weren't thinking like Yah was thinking, and when he said, "Get up and follow me," he didn't mean that they were going to stop all along the way, but that they were going to a destination, and that destination was actually the territory of the promised land that was considered to be Canaan. Yeshua also wanted people to follow him, and he always said to get up and follow him to the people who said that they wanted more. And we just read Mark 10, verses 17 through 22, where this man, Yeshua, actually loved him, and he went away grieving because Yeshua had said for him to sell what he had and to then come follow him. So the man went away grieving, for he owned much property. While this man gave lip service to wanting to do good on a deeper level, to wanting more than just being a commandment-keeping follower, in reality he was suffering from the same problem that some in Israel had in the Exodus time. He was too attached to his material possessions. He didn't get up and follow Yeshua, he went away grieving. Even Yeshua's disciples had trouble seeing the end game, so to speak. Remember when Peter rebuked Yeshua over the idea that Yeshua should be killed. It was in response to that Yeshua talked about taking up our cross and following him. Our interests have to be not about what we want, but what he wants. And if we want to have the ultimate spiritual experience, we follow wherever he takes us. Let's look at Matthew 16:21 through 27 from the New American Standard Version. From that time, Yeshua began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised up on the third day. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "God forbid it, Lord. This should never happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, for you are not setting your mind on Elohim's interests, but man's." Then Yeshua said to his disciples, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and will then repay every man according to his deeds." And then let's look at Matthew 8:19 through 22, New American Standard Version. Then a scribe came and said to him, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Yeshua said to him, "The foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Another of the disciples said to him, "Lord, permit me to go and bury my father." But Yeshua said to him, "Follow me, and allow the dead to bury their own dead." Luke 9:57 through 62 from the New American Standard Version. As they were going along the road, someone said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." And Yeshua said to him, "The foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." And he said to another, "Follow me." But he said, "Lord, permit me first to go and bury my father." But he said to him, "Allow the dead to bury their own dead, but as for you, Go and proclaim everywhere the kingdom of Elohim. Also, another said, I will follow you, Lord, but first permit me to say goodbye to those at home. But Yeshua said to him, no one, after putting his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of Elohim. And here's a little longer discourse where Yeshua is relating a story about a king who wanted people invited to a feast. He is obviously talking about himself and taking up our personal obligation to follow him at whatever cost it will be to us. This is from Luke 14. I'm reading from verses 16 through 35, New American Standard Version. But he said to him, a man was giving a big dinner, and he invited many. And at the dinner hour he sent his slave to say to those who had been invited, come, for everything is ready now. But they all alike began to make excuses. The first one said to him, I've bought a piece of land and I need to go out and look at it. Please consider me excused. Another one said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen and I'm going to try them out. Please consider me excused. And another said, I have married a wife and for that reason I cannot come. And the slave came back and reported this to his master. Then the head of the household became angry and said to his slave, go out at once into the streets and lanes of the city and bring in here the poor and crippled and blind and lame. And the slave said, Master, what you commanded has been done, and still there is room. And the master said to the slave, go out into the highways and along the hedges and compel them to come in so that my house may be filled. For I tell you, none of those men who were invited shall taste of my dinner. Now large crowds were going along with him, and he turned and said to them, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which one of you, when he wants to build a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he's laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who observe it begin to ridicule him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, when he sets out to meet another king in battle, will not first sit down and consider whether he's strong enough with 10,000 men to encounter the one coming against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for terms of peace. So then, none of you can be my disciple who does not give up all his own possessions. Therefore, salt is good, but if even salt has become tasteless, with what will it be seasoned? It is useless either for the soil or for the manure pile. It is thrown out. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Yah had a good land to give his children. He wanted them to love what he loved. He wanted them to look at himself, the giver, more than the gift. And he wanted the kids to be together in the place he loved, appreciating their corporate gift as well as their individual gift. We have often quoted the fact that it was a positive command in Deuteronomy 1 to go in and take the land. This is one reason why many Jews will ask Jews from the diaspora why they haven't come home. Like, if you understand, it is a standing positive commandment. It didn't go away or into past verb tense. There's another one like it in the Masai portion of our reading today, and we can find that in Numbers 33, verses 50 through 53. I'm reading from the New American Standard Version. Then Yahweh said to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan, opposite Jericho, saying, speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, when you cross over the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, and destroy all their figured stones, and destroy all their molten images, and demolish all their high places, and you shall take possession of the land and live in it, for I have given the land to you to possess it. To go and live in the land is considered to be a positive commandment, so to live anywhere else would constitute violating a commandment. According to the commentary I've read, the vast majority of the poskim, or the legal authority deciders throughout the generations, agree that there is a positive, obligatory, perpetual, biblical commandment to live in Yah's chosen land. Interestingly enough, they believe the rule is in effect even in times of exile. In other words, everyone should get home as quickly as they can. Ezekiel has a lot to say about this, and we have shared this scripture on multiple occasions. Because it is such an important topic, I dare use it again. Ezekiel said that the people were profaning Yah's name when they were calling themselves by his name and living someplace else other than the land of Israel. Why? Because it looks like Yah isn't strong enough or big enough to bring them home, or that he isn't a keeper of his promises. Let's go ahead and look at it again today. Ezekiel 36. I'm going to be reading to you from verses 16 through 38 in the New American Standard Version. Then the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel was living in their own land, they defiled it by their ways and their deeds. Their way before me was like the uncleanness of a woman in her impurity. Therefore I poured out my wrath on them for the blood which they had shed on the land, because they had defiled it with their idols. Also I scattered them among the nations, and they were dispersed throughout the lands. According to their ways and their deeds I judged them. When they came to the nations where they went, they profaned my holy name, because it was said of them, These are the people of Yahweh. Yet they have come out of his land. But I had concern for my holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the nations where they went. Therefore say to the house of Israel, Thus says Yahweh Elohim, It is not for your sake, O house of Israel, that I am about to act, but for my holy name, which you have profaned among the nations where you went. I will vindicate the holiness of my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, which you have profaned in their midst. Then the nations will know that I am Yahweh, declares Yahweh Elohim, when I prove myself holy among you in their sight. For I will take you from the nations, gather you from all the lands, and bring you into your own land. Then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your filthiness and from all your idols. Moreover, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you, and I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will be careful to observe my ordinances. You will live in the land that I gave to your forefathers, so you will be my people, and I will be your Elohim. Moreover, I will save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the grain and multiply it, and I will not bring a famine on you. I will multiply the fruit of the tree and the produce of the field, so that you will not receive again the disgrace of famine among the nations. Then you will remember your evil ways and your deeds that were not good, and you will loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and your abominations. I am not doing this for your sake, declares Yahweh Elohim. Let it be known to you. Be ashamed and confounded for your ways, O house of Israel. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, On the day that I cleanse you from all your iniquities, I will cause the cities to be inhabited, and the waste places will be rebuilt. The desolate land will be cultivated instead of being a desolation in the sight of everyone who passes by. They will say, This desolate land has become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste, desolate, and ruined cities are fortified and inhabited. Then the nations that are left round about you will know that I, Yahweh, have rebuilt the ruined places and planted that which was desolate. I, Yahweh, have spoken and will do it. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, This also I will let the house of Israel ask me to do for them. I will increase their men like the flock for sacrifices, like the flock at Jerusalem during her appointed feasts. So will the waste cities be filled with flocks of men. Then they will know that I am Yahweh. And as I usually point out when we read this passage, Yah says he's going to let you ask him to do this for you. Have you asked? Do those of you who have come to the realization that you became a citizen of Israel when you came to faith, Ephesians chapter 2, do you even want to come home? Or is the territory someplace else more to your liking? In Numbers 34, we have the boundaries of the land that will fall to Israel, that is Canaan. Let's look at the first couple of verses. Numbers 34, 1 and 2, New American Standard Version. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Command the sons of Israel and say to them, When you enter the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you as an inheritance, even the land of Canaan according to its borders. This territory that is described in chapter 34 isn't all the promised land that was described to Abraham. For instance, let's look at a couple of descriptions of the land in other passages. Deuteronomy 11, 22 through 25 from the New American Standard Version. For if you are careful to keep all this commandment, which I am commanding you to do, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in all his ways and hold fast to him, then Yahweh will drive out all these nations from before you, and you will dispossess nations greater and mightier than you. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads shall be yours. Your border will be from the wilderness to Lebanon, and from the river Euphrates, as far as the western sea. No man will be able to stand before you. The Lord your Elohim will lay the dread of you and the fear of you on all the land on which you set foot, as he has spoken to you. And then this one, the sad thing about the prophecy in this following passage is that Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh did take on other gods and were the first to exit into captivity, as we read earlier. Exodus 23, 28 through 33 from the New American Standard Version. I will send hornets ahead of you so that they will drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites before you. I will not drive them out before you in a single year, that the land may not become desolate and the beasts of the field become too numerous for you. I will drive them out before you little by little, until you become fruitful and take possession of the land. I will fix your boundary from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the river Euphrates, for I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you will drive them out before you. You shall make no covenant with them or with their gods. They shall not live in your land, because they will make you sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare to you. In our passage describing the boundaries, the phrase "for you" keeps being repeated, like the southern side, "for you." The border shall turn for you, and then at the conclusion, "this shall be for you the land." So we can see that the Israelites will control the full borders of Abraham's promise at some later date. They do expansion, and in the time of David, and then more with Solomon, and even with Herod, their boundaries did evidently expand to the Euphrates. Of course, David and Solomon make good pictures of the reign of Messiah, and that followed by the eternal kingdom reign. There are some that can get into their understanding that Yah is calling all Israel home, but have a more difficult time in the idea that the tribes' inheritances are on the west side of the Jordan for the most part, which we mentioned earlier in the study. So what about all the rest of the land that Yah promised Abraham? What is it for? Well, we know that some of Abraham's children that aren't Israel will still be in the greater land from passages like this one that we're going to read. Notice that we must be talking about the time coming yet based on promises. Isaiah 60, New American Standard Version today. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of Yahweh has risen upon you. For behold, darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the peoples. But Yahweh will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Lift up your eyes round about and see. They all gather together. They come to you. Your sons will come from afar, and your daughters will be carried in the arms. Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will thrill and rejoice, because the abundance of the sea will be turned to you. The wealth of the nations will come to you. A multitude of camels will cover you. The young camels of Midian and Ephah. All those from Sheba will come. They will bring gold and frankincense, and will bear good news of the praises of Yahweh. All the flocks of Kedar will be gathered together to you. The rams of Nebaioth will minister to you. They will go up with acceptance on my altar, and I shall glorify my glorious house. Who are these who fly like a cloud, and like the doves to their lattices? Surely the coastlands will wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish will come first to bring your sons from afar, their silver and their gold with them, for the name of Yahweh your Elohim, and for the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified you. Foreigners will build up your walls, and their kings will minister to you. For in my wrath I struck you, and in my favor I have compassion on you. Your gates will be open continually. They will not be closed day or night, so that men may bring to you the wealth of the nations, with their kings led in procession. For the nation and the kingdom which will not serve you will perish, and the nations will be utterly ruined. The glory of Lebanon will come to you, the juniper, the box tree, and the cypress together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I shall make the place of my feet glorious. The sons of those who afflicted you will come bowing down to you, and all those who despised you will bow themselves at the soles of your feet, and they will call you the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas you have been forsaken and hated, with no one passing through, I will make you an everlasting pride, a joy from generation to generation. You will also suck the milk of the nations and suck the breasts of kings. Then you will know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Instead of bronze, I will bring gold, and instead of iron, I will bring silver, and instead of wood, bronze, and instead of stones, iron. And I will make peace your administrators and righteousness your overseers. Violence will not be heard again in your land, nor devastation or destruction within your borders. But you will call your wall salvation, and your gates praise. No longer will you have the sun for light by day, nor for brightness will the moon give you light, but you will have Yahweh for an everlasting light, and for your Elohim for your glory. Your sun will no longer set, nor will your moon wane, for you will have Yahweh for an everlasting light, and the days of your mourning will be over. Then all your people will be righteous. They will possess the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. The smallest one will become a clan, and the least one a mighty nation. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in its time. You can see that descendants of Abraham were surely listed here besides Israel, who will be serving Yah properly, even bringing sacrifice in the coming kingdom. They are still in the area, obviously. And specifically, we'd be talking about like Kedar and Nebaioth. And maybe there will be inheritance area for homecomings and family reunions, and then greater Israel areas for the growth. Like we have this promise about Lebanon and Gilead in Zechariah chapter 10. We're going to read from verses 6 through 10 in Zechariah 10. I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph, and I will bring them back, because I have had compassion on them. And they will be as though I had not rejected them. For I am Yahweh, their Elohim, and I will answer them. Ephraim will be like a mighty man, and their heart will be glad as if from wine. Indeed, their children will see it and be glad. Their heart will rejoice in Yahweh. I will whistle for them to gather them together, for I have redeemed them, and they will be as numerous as they were before. When I scatter them among the peoples, they will remember me in far countries, and they with their children will live and come back. I will bring them back from the land of Egypt, and gather them from Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon until no room can be found for them. We also know who takes over Edom in the coming kingdom. Notice Gilead is mentioned as being possessed by Benjamin once more, and now we're going to be reading from the book of Obadiah. It's just one chapter, and I'm going to be reading from verses 18 through 21, New American Standard Version. Then the house of Jacob will be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. But the house of Esau will be as stubble, and they will set them on fire and consume them, so that there will be no survivor of the house of Esau, for Yahweh has spoken. Then those of the Negev will possess the mountain of Esau, and those of the Shephelah, the Philistine plain. Also possess the territory of Ephraim and the territory of Samaria. And Benjamin will possess Gilead. And the exiles of this host of the sons of Israel, who are among the Canaanites as far as Zarephath, and the exiles of Jerusalem, who are in Sepharad, will possess the cities of the Negev. The deliverers will ascend Mount Zion to judge the mountain of Esau, and the kingdom will be Yahweh's. So if you don't, Sepharad, we're talking maybe the Sephardic Jews. Some people think we're talking about the Jews who went into Assyrian captivity and then moved from Europe, moved into Europe from there. Some people believe that we're talking about France. Some people think we're talking about Spain. But regardless, the people are going to come home, and they are going to possess areas that are outside the inheritance areas. So maybe as judges, maybe vacation homes, who knows what's coming. May Yeshua come quickly and give us back our inheritance and bring us all home. I hope you've enjoyed the study today. Practical application: don't let your possessions keep you from doing what Yahweh is calling you to do. Don't discourage anyone else from trying to come to the land. Take up your cross and follow him where he wants you to go, because it will be a fun spiritual ride. And for sure, don't despise the land that he's trying to give you. And for the last few seconds here, remember that the Hebrew Nation Online always needs your donations. Blessings.